All right, Dodger season over sooner than they hoped. How much of the blame falls on Mattingly? Stephen A.
Not all of it. If I'm being fair, which I pride myself on being, Skip Bayless, not all of the blame falls on the shoulders of Don Mattingly. I understand that Kershaw has a job to do. You're 21-3 in the postseason. I'm sorry, in the regular season with a 1.77 ERA, widely considered the best in the game. Going to win the Cy Young, probably going to win the MVP award. Some blame has to fall on your shoulders. Ned Colletti, the general manager, refusing to build a bullpen and to help Don Mattingly and Kershaw. He definitely bears some responsibility. But Don Mattingly deserves his share. And I'm on the record saying what I said. Kershaw is the best pitcher in baseball. Kershaw, as far as I'm concerned, both games gave you a strong 6 innings, and it shouldn't take 4 consecutive singles in Game 1 on Friday. 2 consecutive singles, although, Gordon could have had one play, Ramirez could have had another. It shouldn't take all of that for you to see that maybe, just maybe, you might need to pull them. Now, if you're the Dodgers, you might make the argument that Don Mattingly had absolutely, positively no choice whatsoever because it's from Kershaw to Jansen, and that's basically it, and you really have no bullpen to speak of. But I'm going to put a lot of the onus in terms not of last night's game, but this series, the postseason woes on the Dodgers, primarily in Ned Colletti and Don Mattingly's hands, because I look at 2 guys, Ned Colletti, who doesn't give him the roster necessary to work with in terms of the bullpen, and Don Mattingly in terms of managing his clubhouse throughout the season. Yasiel Puig was benched last night. This is a guy that was put in as a pinch runner. I understand he struck out 7 times in 8 at-bats or whatever before he had the triple, and then he struck out again in Game 3. I get all of that. I totally understand it. But I'm looking at how you manage your bullpen. I'm looking at how you manage your staff, rather, how you manage your clubhouse. And I believe, like I said to you yesterday, Skip Bayless, that Don Mattingly is not the right man for this job. He didn't do an awful job. Clearly, yesterday, you see the way Kershaw was pitching. At one point in time, he threw 93 miles per hour. That's some heat. And the reality is that he didn't seem to be as fatigued as he appeared in Game 1 Friday. I will give you that. So this is on Kershaw. Can't totally give him a pass at all. Not trying to. You gave up the home run to Adams. That's what you did. Plain and simple. You hung that curveball right over the plate. He saw it coming out of your hands. He smacked it out of the park. That's what happened in the 7th inning. I felt bad, but I'm looking with that roster, and I'm saying they could give you more than 2 runs. They didn't give you more than 2 runs. That played a role in it. Obviously, it played a role with Mattingly keeping Kershaw in the game because you knew you didn't have much of a bullpen, and you got to wait until the ninth to bring in your closer. But I still hold Mattingly accountable because of how he managed this ball club, some of the issues that they have had, and Colletti more so than Kershaw. Kershaw blew it, but Kershaw essentially had 2 bad 7th innings in this series. That's what he had. Friday Game 1, I thought he was left in entirely too long. Last night, that wasn't the case. That's just totally on him. You got smacked because you threw the wrong pitch. But I still look at Mattingly and Colletti as being primarily responsible for the Dodgers' demise.
Now, to your point, that if you had been Don Mattingly, you would have removed Clayton Kershaw after 6 innings.
Not game 1, not necessarily last night.
Oh, you wouldn't have
not necessarily last night.
Oh, I thought you would have moved.
No, I'm not saying that because the way he was going last night, last night he gave up a home run. It wasn't fatigue that did him in. It was a bad pitch.
All right. To those out there who are on Mattingly just for not pulling Kershaw before Matt Adams batted, that is the easiest, most wrong-headed baseball second guess I have ever heard. Because I want to remind people that, look, if Don Mattingly had gone out and gotten Kershaw after the first 2 little bleeder and blue hits, I would have wanted him fired on the spot. Because this is Clayton Kershaw. I don't care what the postseason has said so far. You brought up those numbers. When you're 21-3, 1.77, and you pitched as great a regular season as has ever been pitched, and your team is do or die, and you have little to no bullpen that you trust, except for Kenley Jansen, your closer. The only way I want you to go get Kershaw at that moment is if you're going to bring Kenley Jansen then. And they used to do it back in the 70s. I know this is before your day, and I know it would be
that is my day. That's when I was watching baseball.
But this would be way against the grain and against the book. But if Don Mattingly had gone to get Kenley Jansen, who saved 44 or 49 games in the regular season, and he was pretty good.
Yes, he was.
If you want to go get him right there and bring him and say, get us 6 outs, get us the 7th and the 8th, and we'll just try to get it home in the 9th, I'm okay with that, as against the grain as that would be. But you cannot, in a do or die, go get this guy at this moment. Because I'm going to reiterate, 6 innings pitched without one ball really being hit hard, although Adams did hit a bullet that Hanley gloved and made a nice play on.
Right.
But the one hit through 6 innings was a ground ball single. He had struck out 9, including striking out the side in the bottom of the 6th. And then Matt Holliday hits a little bleeder up the middle. And I got to tell you, D. Gordon should have at least knocked the ball down. And if he knocks the ball down, he's going to have a play.
He did kind of knock it down.
But I'm talking about control it enough that you have a play at first, because Matt Holliday isn't the speediest going to first.
But
you would have a play.
You're expecting them to pull it, so you were playing a bit further towards right as opposed to towards center field, and that's why he got to because he's pretty fast.
Okay, but I'm just saying it was a somewhat makeable play. It wasn't an impossible play to make. Okay, and Hanley. He is not the greatest glove in the world. We know that.
His defense is diminished.
A top shortstop
tremendously.
Puts that ball in his pocket. He's off at the crack of the bat. He takes a little better angle, and Hanley almost got it in the webbing. It just ticked off the leather of his glove.
Right.
Okay, so are those balls crushed?
No.
Absolutely not. No. And he throws strike 1 to Matt Adams. Matt Adams hit 190 against left-handers during the regular season. Yes. And to me, in the whole lineup, I'm not sure you could give Clayton Kershaw a better matchup than Matt Adams, because some of the other left-handed hitters had been pretty good against left-handed pitching during the season.